Alrighty, today is Monday. It's 10:07. We're getting a late start on math, but it's going to be a review day, so it's going to be all right. We're going to be together for our Google Meet activity, and then after this, I'm going to send you off to Google Classroom to do a review about multiplication with arrays using pictures to model multiplication. After that, you have reflex time and compass time, about 20 minutes of each. Get your green light and get some working done on your level. And then with the time you have left over, you can play the math games from your packet if you're with somebody, or you can practice your fact fluency with your triangles or flashcards for the time that's left over. Math is from 10 to 11, and then you have the rest of your day. So,
I'm still trying to get cameras turned on.
okay, that's all right. All right, we'll be all right. Today's activity is another review about multiplication with arrays. We talked a little bit about this before you went to NTI, and we did some activities about this last week. An array is a set that shows equal groups in rows and columns. Arrays are rows for multiplication. Rows go up and down, and columns go left to right. So down here where my mouse is, I don't know if you can see it, I have these blue rectangles. And I have 1, 2, 3 on top, and then 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. I have two groups of 3 rectangles. So that gives me a multiplication equation of 2 times 3 equals 6. Two groups of 3 things, 1 row and 2 rows. Where can we go next? I'm going to go to these pink polka dots next. You can follow my mouse on the top. I have the same equation. I have 2 rows of 3 things. So I have 2 groups of 3 things. 2 times 3 is 6. In the middle, I have these rectangles, or they're squares, I guess. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them, which matches the product or the answer that's here. I have 3 groups of 3 things. It's the same thing as adding 3 plus 3 plus 3, or having 3 groups of the 3 things. On the next slide, we're going to listen to a quick video. It's from a website called Khan Academy that some of us have used before. And he's going to break down how to use arrays. I might mute him and talk over him and answer some questions. If you have any questions, or if you can't hear the video, please put a note in the chat box. So, groups of objects are arrays, and we're going to use them to model multiplication.
So I have several groups of these ball-looking things, and let's think about how many balls are in each group. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And what I want to do is think about the different ways of dividing these 12 balls into different numbers of groups. So for example, I could view these 12 balls as 1, so that's 1 group of 3, 2 groups of 3, 3 groups of 3, 4 groups of 3. So I could view 12 as being 4 groups of 3. And the way that we would write that, is that 12 is equal to 4 groups of 3. 4 groups of 3. Or another way of reading this is that 12 is equal to 4 times 3. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, and in each of those groups I have 1, 2, 3 objects, I'm going to have a total of 12 objects. But that's not the only way we can get to 12. We could also view it as 3 groups of 4. So let's look at that. So we could have it as 1 group of 4, 2 groups of 4, 3 groups of 4. So now we could view 12 as being 3 groups of 4, or we could say that 3, get the right tool out, we can say that 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So whether we're doing 4 times 3 or 3 times 4, they're both going to be equal to 12. 4 groups of 3 is 12, 3 groups of 4. But we don't have to stop there. We could also view 12 as Well, we could view it as 2 groups of 6. Let's look at that. Could be, so this is 1 group of 6 right over here. So that's 1 group of 6. That's another group of 6. So once again, we could view this as 2 times 6. 2 times 6 will also get us to 12. Well, what about viewing it as 6 groups of 2? Well, we can draw that out too. 6 groups of 2. So that's 1 group of 2. Let me do that in a different color. We have this purple color. We have 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2, 4 groups of 2, 5 groups of 2, and 6 groups of 2. So once again, this is all different ways of writing 12, something equivalent to 12. We could write 6 times 2, 6 groups of 2, 6 times 2 is also equal 12. But we don't have to stop there. We could also literally view 12 as 1 group of 12. So how would that look? So 1 group of 12. So this whole thing is just one group of 12 here. So we could literally say 1 times 12, 1 times 12 is equal to 12.
All right, so those are different ways that you can use dots to make arrays, and you can use those arrays to multiply and find equal groups. We have used those things before. If you get stuck, you can do repeated addition. It's the same thing as multiplication. And when you have arrays, it's not the most effective tool, but you can count the pieces to find the answer. Yeah, you're being funny in the chat box. Thanks, friends. They're being silly. We had him at Khan Academy. I can't remember what his name is. His name's like James or something. Explain it because he hadn't done already. So why explain it twice? So after, in just about a minute, you're going to show how you can use arrays to multiply. So in the Google Classroom on the classwork tab, where this week's work is, November 9th through 13th. You're good, Emmeline. Hello. Math, November 9th. And click on this activity. Very nice rabbit greets you. It says choose the array that matches the equation. Before you get started, there's a brain pop video about arrays to remind you of the things that we just talked about if you need to. As you scroll down, this first one says, which array shows 3 times 7? You're looking for the array that has 3 groups of 7 things. Click on whichever the answer is, and then you go on to the next one. There's, I think, 10 of them. Arrays can use dots, squares, pictures, smiley faces, whatever you need to model the multiplication problem. Be careful when you do your work, though, friends, because I sent work back to somebody this morning. They did their work before today's lesson, and they got confused, and they didn't count their boxes, so they had some incorrect answers. Starting tomorrow, we're going to talk more about making sure that you're putting first things first, because I have some friends that are doing the work before we learn, and they're getting poor scores and getting really upset, and then they're not getting their reflex done, and it's just kind of a mess. You need to put first things first. So I'm going to let you go in a minute, and then you have to do today's activity, and then you have reflex or compass time, and then with your leftover time, you have your games and your fluency, because math still has 45 more minutes. So set you a timer, and math is done at 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, you have your break for lunch and lifetime, have some free time, take care of you. Special area from 12:30 to 1:30. There is a choice board in the Google Classroom, and we should have PE this week. So Mr. Dunaway sent some activities that are in the Google Classroom. And then at 1:30, you come back and see me for the last Google Meet of the day. So your job is to multiply first. Submit your screen, submit your activity, and then go on to reflex. I'm going to stop recording and answer some questions, and then we can continue with the rest of our day.